Understanding economic schools of thought. Nearly everyone has an opinion about the economy we live in, but not everyone understands economics well enough to explain their beliefs. In a survey I conducted during class at Valencia, 1/3 of participants inadvertently agreed with fascist policies. Corrupt people will rely on your fear and ignorance to take power. That is why it is critical to be economically educated and to understand your own beliefs and values. I have independently studied economics for half a decade and recently completed college macro with a perfect score. Today, I would like to share that knowledge with you. I will briefly explain the histories and beliefs of 3 important schools of thought: the classical, Austrian, and Keynesian schools of thought. After this, you probably already agree with one of these schools without even realizing it. And after this speech, you should be able to summarize your beliefs and categorize them into one of these schools of thought. That may sound complicated, but if you can tell me your favorite music genre or your Hogwarts house, you'll pick this up in no time. You may be wondering, what is an economic school of thought? Schools of thought are a way of categorizing similar theories and economists into broad groups. Economists generally agree on most concepts, however, different schools of thought clearly show us where they disagree. Today there are many schools of thought, but where did they all begin? In 1776, an incredible event forever changed the course of history. A Scottish man wrote a book. More specifically, Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations, where he wondered what makes some nations so wealthy. According to the history of economic thought, economics as an object of study began with Adam Smith. He thought about how individuals trading, buying, and selling goods and services make up a much larger economy. Being of so much early influence, he is considered the father of economics. His ideas later formed the classical school of economics. Classical economists believe production is the most important part of an economy. After all, the more you can produce, the more wealth your economy can gain. To make the economy as efficient as possible, they also believe government interference should be kept to a minimum. Lastly, the classical school believes that individuals are selfish but rational, that people will make the best decisions for their own gain, and ultimately those selfish individuals will benefit the economy as a whole. But that's just the first school of thought. What if you care more about individuals who form the total economy? Well, I may have the perfect school for you. Let's travel from Scotland to Austria. In 1871, another incredible historic event unfolded. An Austrian man wrote a book. So what? Who cares about another old guy in his book? Well, this old guy came up with some of the most important concepts in economics. That's right. We're going to be talking about Karl Menger. I hope no one was thinking of another Karl. Anyway, the Austrian school is a free market advocate that sees the economy for the individuals that make it up. Karl Menger, along with his Austrian school associates, invented many of the economic terms you may take for granted. Most students who have taken high school economics could explain the concepts of opportunity cost and marginal utility, but they probably don't know who came up with them in the first place. That's because the Austrian school is often overlooked or overshadowed by the classical school. Both schools advocate for free market and limited government. However, despite these similarities, they do have some distinctions. The Austrian school economist Joseph Salerno said, in a speech on the origin and decline of the Austrian school, where the classical economists had gone wrong was to speak of goods as if they were abstract classes. Both schools believe individuals make decisions out of self-interest. However, the Austrian school realizes people don't always make the best decisions. For instance, think about how many people text while driving. The Austrian school also believes that more of something isn't always a good thing. Simply put, if you keep producing copious amounts of one thing, eventually your need for that thing will be filled. That's the concept of marginal utility. The Austrian school also invented the subjective theory of value. Economists and philosophers alike have spent centuries trying to answer the question, if water is vital to life, but diamonds are not, then why the heck are diamonds worth so much more? Well, the Austrian school would answer, value is subjective. Value is determined by what it is worth to the individual. You vote with your dollar to decide what gets produced. Now, I've talked a lot about proponents of the free market, but how can the economy just regulate itself? Isn't there an economist who prefers planning to profits? Well, you're in luck. I have one last story for you. In 1936, the most incredible, absolutely insane feat ever witnessed by mankind took place. All right, yeah, another old guy wrote a book. Love him or hate him, he is quite possibly one of the most influential economists of all time, even rivaling Adam Smith. That's right, we're talking about John Maynard Keynes. Keynes is a staunch supporter of government involvement within the markets. And according to An Applied Approach to Macroeconomics by Valencia's professor Jack Chambliss, Keynes's economic theories have shaped the role governments play in their economies even to this day. The economists mentioned previously all lived through times of uncertainty, but none more so than Keynes. He witnessed firsthand as the global economy plummeted from greatness into the Great Depression. Keynes believed more needed to be done than to just leave the economy to its own devices. If the government could somehow smooth out the highs and the lows of the business cycle, it could lead to long-term stability and more economic growth. He advocated for this through the use of fiscal policy. During the good times, the government should spend less and tax more. This would decrease the effects of inflation. And during the bad times, the government should tax less and spend more. This would hopefully get people to start spending money, thus lifting us out of a recession, or in that case, a depression. This is the model that governments and economies began to follow after the Second World War, and many still use today. Hopefully you have been able to take something away from this speech. From the humble origins of the classical school, to the subjectivity of the Austrian school, or even the planned nature of the Keynesian school, economics affects every aspect of our life, whether you realize it or not. So I urge you all to learn more and to advocate for the policy changes that you wish to see. Thank you. I'm going to leave that picture of me up.